As a kid growing up in Seattle, Washington in the 40s, Jimi Hendrix really loved music. In fact, many an hour was spent with his old guitar playing along to his favorite artists from his record collection.
Today, it's Hendrix's music that young artists choose to play along with. Even though his group, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, broke up in 1969 and Jimi died in 1970, his sound is hotter than ever. Then, Jimi Hendrix was a rock and roll revolutionary. Now, 20 years after his death, he's become a bona fide musical legend.
Then is 1967. The summer of love is in full bloom as the Monterey Pop Festival showcases some of rock's best new bands. The Grateful Dead, the Byrds, the Jefferson Airplane, and the Who. They ride the wave of a new style of music called acid rock, which will be revolutionized by a guitar player making his American solo debut at Monterey, Jimi Hendrix.
Got to be all right. All right. Woo!
But Hendrix's career didn't start with Monterey. His first dates were playing backup for rhythm and blues artists, like pioneer Little Richard.
Now see you. I'm down on the thing.
Jimi Hendrix could play that rock and roll. I used to be singing rock and roll. Woo, 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 woo. Be gone. He have that thing just romping and tumping all up under my toes. At times, he used to make my big toe shoot up in my boot.
Hendrix's father, Al, also remembers his son's early efforts.
Yeah, when I got his first electric guitar, I went and got a C melody sax, and him and I both learned at the same time. He was learning the guitar, and I was trying to learn the sax. Yeah, we get a kick there, him playing the guitar and I blowing on the sax, trying to make music.
Hendrix later forms his own group, Jimmy James and the Blue Flames. And he's encouraged to move to England, where word of his virtuoso guitar playing makes him a must-see for top-name British rockers, like Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, John Lennon, and Mick Jagger.
He was just amazing. I mean, he was just amazing, playing the head off completely.
Despite success in Europe, Hendrix is virtually unknown in America. But his performance at Monterey will change that forever. His friend Alan Douglas remembers.
Yes, that was the first time anybody ever seen him, you know, and he pulled out all the stops. He did a complete act for everybody, so they had never heard nor seen anything like that before.
Ironically, a backstage argument with Who guitarist Pete Townsend over who will perform first gives Jimmy the impetus he needs to bring the house down.
I said to Jimmy, I said, we're not going to follow you on. So he said, well, I'm not going to follow you on. So I said, listen, we are not going to follow you on, and that is it. He got down off the chair and just said, turned round to me and just said, if I'm going to follow you, I'm going to pull all the stops.
And pull out all the stops he does. Joined by Noel Redding on bass and Mitch Mitchell on the drums, Hendrix steals the show and introduces a whole new sound to rock and roll.
Jimi Hendrix, God bless him, he's the king of that type of music. He was sounding like that when they even have the instruments, the electronic towers and all.
Tomorrow, or just the end of time.
He becomes rock's biggest star, but some critics think he's too gimmicky.
Gimmicks, there we go again. Gimmicks, man. I'm tired of people saying we're behind gimmicks. What is this? The world is nothing but a big gimmick, isn't it? Wars, napalm bombs, and all that. People get burned up on TV, and it's nothing but a gimmick. Yes, we do.
It's at Woodstock in 1969 that Hendrix reaches the height of popularity and controversy at the same time, with his unique interpretation of the Star-Spangled Banner, a version destined to become an anthem for the 60s. But Hendrix will not live to enjoy his fame. Just a year later, he chokes to death in his sleep after swallowing 9 sleeping pills. Jimi Hendrix was only 27. Although his career lasted only 4 years, today Hendrix's music lives on. through the efforts of Alan Douglas and producer Bruce Gary.
Look at it. Oh, my God, it's darn beautiful. Jimi Hendrix now has an audience of, you know, that runs from 12-year-old to 50 years old. I mean, and most of the audience that's come to him in the last 3 or 4 years are in their teens.
The records that sound just as much as they were then, maybe more so back then.
And how long can the Hendrix legacy endure?
He wrote the book. I mean, you know, Jimi Hendrix created the sounds, you know, of the guitar that, well, I mean, he created the school and nobody's graduated from the school yet.